Hi, my name is John, and this is a demonstration on how to change a drum head, specifically on a kick drum. This is a 24-inch kick drum, so it's a little bit bigger than your average kick drum, and I'm going to be changing the resonant head today. That is the front head. The other drum head is known as the batter head, specifically because that's the one you hit. That's why it's called that. The first thing you're going to be doing is loosening all the lugs on the drum head. As you go, you're going to want to turn the opposite ones to loosen those at the same time. And don't take them all the way off yet, because as ones are loosened, the ones next to them become a little bit tighter. Just the tension goes down in general all the way across the drum. After you get them finger loosened, the fastest way to do it is to just turn the actual screw part of the lug, and then you can just pop those off and set them over to the side, and then just keep going around the rest of the drum. I'm changing the drum head on this kick drum because this drum head is a little bit older. It's also not producing the sound that I want it to. It's a larger drum, and so it has a lot more resonance to it. I want something that's a bit more controlled, and so I'll show you the drum head that I'm going to be using. It's a drum head made by the manufacturer Evans, and it's called EMAD. It's something that they released somewhat recently, in recent years, and it has a lot of built-in damping material, which gives you a much more focused sound from your drum, which is what I'm looking for. I already changed the other drum head, the batter head. I'll show you that a little bit later. That's also from the same series. It's called an EMAD 2. The 2 stands for the number of plies or layers in the drum head. And that means obviously that drum head has 2 layers. This resonant head and the one I'm going to be changing it with only have 1 layer. That is common for resonant heads. So this is the drum ring. Take that off, set it to the side. This is the old drum head. As you can see here, has a little dent there. Doesn't impact sound too much, but it just doesn't look very good. And at this point, I like to inspect the drum just to make sure there's no issues with it. And it looks like it's all good. This is a new drum head. As you can see, it has a similar port as the old one, but this one also has a ring around it with some foam in there that helps with extra noise and just helps you to use your damping a little bit more. You set it on the drum. Make sure the logo on the bottom is as close to the center of the bottom of the drum as possible. Looks a little bit better that way, and it keeps it more symmetrical. After you get it set about how you want, you're going to take your drum ring and set it back on again, and just set it on top. It's not going to be perfectly square on it until it's all tightened down with your lugs. So you'll grab your lugs again, and at this point you're just going to be getting them finger tight. That old drum head was original to the country of manufacture. It was from Germany. This drum set was made in Germany. And for authenticity, for being authentic, it's a good piece to have. I'm going to keep it with the drum set if I ever want to sell it again, depending on who I sell it to, if they want that collector value, because that does add value for some people. As I'm putting these on, what I should be doing, it looks like I made a mistake there, is putting them on in the same way I took them off, which is just doing opposite ones and then slowly going around the entirety of the drum itself. And this does take a little bit of time. Drummers aren't known for their patience, but when you're changing a drum head, you have to be. And as you're going around, they might feel, the lugs may feel tight as you're putting them on the first time, but as the tension builds around the drum, they are gonna loosen up somewhat, because once you start adding more down, it gets a little bit tighter and tighter and tighter, and then the other ones become looser. All right, so I went ahead and skipped ahead through that part. The lugs are all now finger tight. Basically what that means is that I can't spin any of them freely anymore. Currently, when I put pressure on the drum head, I can see wrinkles around the edge. That's because it's not all the way tightened down yet. The way I like to tighten it down or tune the drum is to tune it just above where it stops wrinkling. And I'll do that now. And you're going to be doing this the same way that you would be taking them off, where you're just doing the opposite ones as you go around. And as I'm doing this, like I said earlier, the lugs that are right next to the ones I just tightened, those get somewhat loose as I'm going around, because the tension next to it is pulling the drum down, and so it's not as tight as it's pulling the ring down, so it's not as tight as it was a second ago. You can't see this, but as I'm going here, it looks like there's still some wrinkle down here, even though these tuners and the tuning lugs may be a little bit tighter than the other ones were, but as I'm tightening it down, I can see that those are going away here. I'll skip each one, quarter turn more, and I'm kind of tapping it to see if I like where that sounds at. I can probably get these ones a little bit more. And that one was getting loose there because I tightened that one. Go around and check all these. That one's still a little bit loose. Means that that one's probably a little bit loose. And it looks like it's pretty close to where I'd like it to be. Let's go ahead and give it a try here. It sounds pretty close to where I want it to be. Right now there's no muffling on the inside of the drum. I'm going to add some in later to control a little bit of that. You can kind of hear it booming a little bit. I want it to be a little bit tighter than that, but you get the general gist. And I'm going to show you guys the other side here. So on the other side, this kick drum head has a built-in muffling ring here. It's foam and it can be taken out. There's a smaller one that you can also put in, which provides a little bit looser sound. But like I said earlier, I like my sound to be much more focused and a lot tighter than that. Put this back in here. Make sure it's all the way in. Sounds good to me. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.